Good morning. We'll kick this off with a CNN story from last July 2023. The US and NATO are struggling to help Ukraine in their war against Russia because we don't have enough ammunition to send them. The alliance did not prepare for the possibility of a protracted, that means extended, land war in Europe. I've already got a question, which is that we do have ships and planes. If we have an ammo shortage in Europe because of bad planning there, we can ship them over from somewhere else. So this isn't a problem of merely bad planning in Europe, it's everywhere. If we had the ammo in the US, we could put on a boat, but we don't. The UK Secretary of Defense says nobody really asked. What if the war lasts 2 weeks? Do we have enough weapons in stock? Nobody asked that question. Pardon me, but that is his job. It's literally the job of UK's Defense Department and the Pentagon and the war chiefs in Europe and in NATO to ask that very question. Since nobody working in London or Washington even asked, let alone has a good answer, I've got a few more. Where did all the money go? We spend more on defense than basically the whole rest of the world. So why don't we have any weapons in stock? All these geniuses who go to our war colleges and our military academies and spend $1 trillion a year, the guys who study military strategy and tactics and history, what exactly was your strategy for dealing with Russia? Has Russia ever surrendered at all, like in 1,000 years? But our strategy was actually based on the idea that Russia would just give up in the first week. Nobody asked what would happen in the second week. Was that the plan? The US began increasing production last year when it became clear that the war would drag on far longer than we thought, but we're still years away. Again, where did our money go? All that money we were spending before the Ukraine war, who has it? Here's Bloomberg, who's got 2 articles in 2 days. South Korea is making weapons faster and cheaper than the United States. America's war machine cannot make basic artillery. Let's start with the good news, which is that South Korea is a friendly country, and the article here gives us some insight on how everything has gone off the rails in the US and Europe. We have shifted to strategic weapons, precision weapons. Those don't work very well either, could add, but those are all expensive. They cost a lot of money, and so our weapons manufacturers want to build that stuff. We're racing to learn again how to do the basics, but this Korean company can do everything faster, 2 to 3 times faster, and also cheaper, 1/2 or even 1/3 the price that we can do it for. South Korean weaponry is good quality and it's affordable and efficient compared to American and European. Korean-made weapons might not be the most advanced, but Lockheed Martin and Boeing are off doing other things. In fact, we have outsourced the modernization of an ammunition plant to the Koreans. 80 years ago, we were the arsenal of democracy. Now we need the Koreans to help us build a factory that can make guns and bombs. And like I said, that's the good news. At least we know someone who can. And that's the last of the good news today, because here's Bloomberg's second piece. The Pentagon divested from the work of making basic stuff to focus on expensive and high-tech weapons. Now all we've got left is old factories, and nobody remembers how to make anything. The same problem is in Europe, and now they're scrambling to catch up too. Obviously now we see this has been a giant mistake. Our military, NATO's militaries, our defense departments never imagined that a war in the 21st century might go past the weekend. And that's how we planned on things going, which is amazing too. We tried for over 20 years to take out the Taliban, and they're still there. But the same architects of that debacle are still running things, and now they're confused that Russia is still hanging around. The 155 millimeter shell is the standard issue for basic artillery for almost all the armies in the world. And we've been shipping a lot of 155s to the Ukraine and to Israel. Now they're in critically short supply at home. And another problem is that we don't make TNT anymore. TNT is what makes a bomb go boom, and we had to buy that from Poland and Turkey. Turkey just last week joined the BRICS and attended the big BRICS meeting in Russia. How secure will our supply chain for Turkish TNT be going forward if their black powder will be used to make 155 shells, which are then used against Russian troops? Shouldn't we presume that their new Russian business partners might have a problem with all that? What about the shells that we do like to make, the super expensive ones? The shells that we were focused on building instead, precision shells, have failed in the Ukraine when their targeting systems didn't work. We should ask again why they're called precision weapons if they're not hitting their targets, or why they're called smart weapons if they can be confused by Russian countermeasures. So now we're going back to the basics. We're building a new TNT facility that will be finished in 2026. And after that, it will need to be subsidized because nobody believes we'll be able to compete with the Koreans on weapons or with the Poles and the Turks on the powder. Here are the numbers. Thousands of these shells are being used in Ukraine every day. The U.S. Army hopes to be building 68,000 per month by early next year, and so far we're at 36,000 a day. Russia is firing 70,000 every day. That is a year's worth of European production every 10 days, and twice what the U.S. is right now. Russia's store of weapons includes old Soviet-era weapons, missiles and shells from North Korea, and drones from Iran. This is a pie chart of military spending by country. North Korea and Iran don't even get their own piece of pie. They're lumped in over there in other countries, which added all up is less than 1/5 of all the military spending in the world. Russia's at 4.5%. The Soviet era ended in 1991 or so. Russian weapons that are more than 30 years old, plus some drones from Iran, plus some shells from North Korea. This is a dam in Jing'an, Jiangxi province. Be good.
Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but by me. Everyone who hears these words of Jesus and acts on them is like a wise man who built his house on a rock. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and yet the house did not fall, for it was founded on the rock.